Hi there, I'm Sam, a Cambridge economics student and someone who's done decently well in their exams. And a key part of this exam success has been taking measures to limit distractions during the exam season. And in this video, I'll share these measures with you. Chances are your biggest source of distractions in the run-up to your exams is going to be your phone. So I thought it'd be best to have the first point of this video be about minimizing phone distractions. Now, of course, there are quite a few ways you can limit the amount you get distracted by your phone, but the first thing you may want to consider is deleting certain apps. A lot of the time, it's just a handful of apps our phone contains, which result in the majority of the distraction which our phone causes. For me, there were always social media apps, and specifically the short-form content these apps contain. So one approach you can simply take is deleting certain apps from your phone. For example, I've deleted both Instagram and TikTok. By doing this, when it comes to the point when you grab your phone, when actually you're meant to be studying, you'll realize none of the apps which you usually go to are even on there. And something I found is when you remember these apps are no longer there, it hits you with the mental clarity that actually you don't want to be on your phone, instead you want to be studying. Also, within the 1 minute or so it would take to reinstall these apps, I usually realize actually it's not worth it. Now, a slightly less extreme approach is just turning off your notifications. By doing this, when you're studying, you're just much less likely to be interrupted by a buzz or a flash. Now, turning off notifications will be especially helpful if you're the type of person who usually gets distracted by messages rather than specific apps. It can also be really useful to just keep your phone out of sight when you're studying. For example, you could put your phone in a closed drawer or hand it to a family member. By doing this, your phone is out of sight and therefore it's out of mind, and hopefully you're less likely to be distracted by it. Also, when you get the inclination to reach for your phone, it's just not there. Essentially, there are two broad categories of things you want to be doing to try and limit the amount you get distracted by your phone. Number one is just limit the amount of time you go on your phone. So this can be achieved by turning off the notifications, putting it somewhere else, handing it to a family member, etc. And number two is that given you are on your phone, you want to minimize the amount of time you're spending on it. So this can be achieved by deleting certain apps, limiting screen time, etc. And speaking about minimizing the amount your phone distracts you, something else I found to be incredibly useful is trying to stay off my phone during study breaks. Now, study breaks should be a time when you can take a mental break and refocus and refresh. If I spend my study break on my phone, A, I spend much longer breaking than I want to, and B, I really don't feel that refreshed or refocused when it comes back around to doing the studying. If I compare going on my phone in the break to things such as going for a walk, getting some sunlight, talking to a friend, this stuff is much more useful and makes me feel so much more refreshed when it's time to go back to studying. But it's also important to note that your phone can actually be used for good when you're doing your studying. For instance, there are certain apps you can install to help you focus and help you with your studying. The most prominent example of such an app will probably be the Forest app. This is an app which you can start when studying. It helps track the amount you study and gamify the whole process, which hopefully makes the act of studying a bit more enjoyable. I personally have never used such apps, but I have lots of friends who have and have spoken very highly of them. So other than limiting the amount your phone distracts you, something else which can be very useful is creating a designated study space and ensuring that this designated study space is free from distractions. Something which I would highly recommend is getting a space which has the sole purpose of only being used for studying. For example, mine is my desk. Here, I only study, do work, or film these videos. If I'm watching TV or watching YouTube or playing games, I try and do it away from this desk. This way, there's a mental connection. When I'm at this desk, I'm studying or doing work, and when I'm away from it, I'm not. It's really helpful for forming that mental distinction, and I can also customize the space to be optimal for my studying. For example, I have my textbooks right next to me, so I don't need to get up and move around. If I need them, they're right there. Similarly, I have things that distract me away from this space. So again, I would have to get up and walk away if I needed them. Now, it may not just be the physical things around you which you're getting distracted by, e.g. phones, TVs, games, etc. It could also be that you don't really know what to do when you intend to sit down to study, and therefore you're just more likely to get distracted. Now, this is pretty obvious, but if you don't have a clear idea of what you're doing and what direction you're heading in when you're studying, it's much easier for little things to distract you. Luckily for you, if you fall in this camp, I've done a whole video addressing this, but something which can be really useful is setting specific exam goals and also specific deadlines. If you have a specific goal you want to work towards, e.g. a certain grade, it really helps provide the motivation for your studying. This is because if you have a clear goal you want to work towards, any little things which may have distracted you in the past now seem so much less relevant compared to this big goal. Similarly, if you set specific deadlines, it can really help keep your studying on track and focused. Now, one example of a specific deadline is saying, I want to complete 3 past papers by this date. And then when it comes to sitting down and studying, you have this deadline in your mind and it provides something clear and actionable you can do in that study session. And once again, when you have this clear goal or direction in mind, it should really limit the amount you are getting distracted. And finally, something which is really important in terms of limiting distractions, but a lot of students fail to think about, is building healthy habits. During the exam season and just in general, building healthy habits can really increase your focus and reduce the amount you get distracted. Studies have shown that things such as sleep, nutrition, and exercise can have significant effects on cognitive ability and focus. So taking the time to do things such as developing a good sleep schedule, ensuring you're getting enough good quality sleep, as well as ensuring you have a good level of nutrition and hydration, and maybe doing frequent exercise, this can really help improve your focus when you're studying and therefore should limit the amount little things are likely to distract you. So in this video, we spoke about how you can limit the amount your phone distracts you, either by hiding it away, deleting apps, turning off notifications, etc. Essentially any measures which reduce the frequency of which you go on your phone and also reduce the time of which you spend on your phone. But it's also important to note that with the right implementation, you can use your phone as a source of good when studying. We then spoke about how it's important to create a good designated study space, where everything you need is nearby and the things that may distract you are far away. And then there's the importance of having a clear goal and clear deadlines, which really provide something to work towards and should limit the amount little things distract you. And finally, the importance of healthy habits for focus and cognitive ability. So there you have it. Those are the things I would recommend if you're someone who wants to limit the amount you're getting distracted when studying. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Maybe stick around if you like this content. And as always, thank you for watching.